Very good afternoon to one and all over here. This session is all about the women empowerment using the digital technology. We have been seeing the people around the world, and especially during this pandemic situation, like how the people are migrating from the traditional banking system to the digital banking system, from the manual processing to the digital processing. So earlier there was a myth which was saying, like, the technology and the digital environment should be used only by men and male gender. But now this pandemic has very clearly indicated to us, saying that, like, this technology or the digital environment is not only for the men, also for the women. Today in this session we have five experts in this, and all of them have a very good successful journey in their past of utilizing the technology, or teaching the technology to the people. And that is more important. Like, using technology is something different from teaching technology. So today we have like five expert speakers. So I would like to introduce the speakers of the session today. So the first one will be Dr. Indu Varadarajan, who's recently accredited by the DAD in Berlin, Germany. Hi, Dr. Indu.
Hi, Gokul. It's been an amazing platform here to share the journey and experience and tell how digital technology will help my career along the way as I'm here right now. I just finished my doctorate in planetary science at a German Aerospace Center in Berlin. I research about Mercury, working for Bepi Colombo mission, which is going to the Mercury. I'm happy to be here to share my journey.
Welcome, Dr. Indu. Next, we have Dr. Rakshana Singh, who is the superintendent of police, and who has been dealing with lots of women and women-related offenses and women-related empowerments in Pondicherry. Welcome, Dr. Rakshana.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me. Good evening to all of you.
Into the panel we have Professor Dr. J. Indumari, who is a professor in Anna University, Chennai, and she has been into the academic segment for almost like 3 decades now in a row, and she shares her vision with each and every batch of students, like which is going to be like counting around some 400 to 500 students every year, and she has been a mentor for over 1,000 students. Welcome, ma'am. I think you have to unmute yourself, ma'am. Dr. Indumari, ma'am, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah, ma'am. Please welcome, ma'am.
I'm happy to be with all of you around to share this session and share all my experiences, whatever I have got. And a very good day to all of you.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. Next, we would like to have, Sriram, who is a founder of PrimeFort from India. And he has been a security researcher who has been into the cyberspace, and, who has been, dealing with lots and lots of requests each and every day, starting from, once when the technology is there, we'll be having lots of criminals over there also. So, like, he has been dealing with all those people. And welcome, Sriram, to share your insights. Welcome, Sriram. Unmute yourself, Sriram.
This is actually my 450th talk that I'm actually giving. I'm done with all the talks, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me once.
Welcome, Sriram. Next, we would like to welcome, Ili from USA. She has been in digital marketing and digital enthusiast, and she has been, she has been guiding many number of people in the United States usually. So, like, welcome, Ili.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today.
It's great. So, we have been talking about like the technological advancements and the usage of digital, environment. So there has been a recent statistics which I was going through recently, which was saying, like, before the pandemic, there was like, for 1 in every 5 women, they don't have the, only 1 in every 5 women, they were having the access for, the digital banking environment. And, like 1 in 3 women are, aware of using the, the smartphones, we call it as, let it be the Android or the iPhone or something of that sort. But most of them, like, they were saying, like, oh, we used to use the phone only for answering the phone calls, and we'll be we'll be disconnecting the calls. This is the ultimate purpose, like, most of the women were using it. But actually there was no there is no technology biasing actually between both the both the genders. But still this has caused this much of hindrance, we call it as usually. So, like, in order to break this, the what do you call it, the chain, the what do you call it, the male chauvinistic society, we call it as, But okay, yeah, this panel is like not like the male chauvinistic society, because like, we have only two, like people over here, the male, and we have the majority of women. This is my first session to have, the woman gender, equal, higher than the male participants. Usually we'll be having a gender balancing, but this is the first time. Anyway, I'm glad to, see the most number of people coming up here. Yes. So first, my question is to Dr. Indu Varadarajan. So like Dr. Indu, so you have been like, I know that it's like, everyone used to be saying like, the space science and the rocket science is quite difficult usually, right? So you have been, you have been advanced into the, how do I say, like into the astrophysics and astroscience. And, I have been seeing your, your profile, which says like, you have been working for, the NASA, you have done your internship in University of Oxford and other things and all. So can you just give a small introduction about your journey and, how do you feel like, to empower women with your inspiring words? Please, Dr. Indu.
Yeah, just one correction. I never worked with NASA. I worked with German Aerospace Berlin, and I worked with Physical Research Laboratory, which is a unit of Department of Space in India, but not NASA, at least not until right now. Yes. So as I mean, I actually come from a very, very small village and I'm a 90s kid, and 90s is the onset of digital technology, especially in India. I still remember when I went for my first experience with abroad is when I was in my college in undergrad. I did an internship in Germany. That's the first time I even bought like an iPod. We had Wi-Fi in our college, a working Wi-Fi, when I was in third, fourth year in the college. So using internet for gathering information itself, though it was all around, for many times I used to ask myself, why didn't I Google many things when I was little? Why? The answer, because we were not taught to, we were not in the culture. That this is from the background, as I come from a village. Some of my friends who were in abroad, who had an NRI, I mean, who come from abroad or who are city students, who are wealthy students, they were already into digital technology. They know how internet works and how to get all the information what we have. So in my journey, okay, the one thing which I used to say how digital technology or internet space helped me is to find funding opportunities. It's not only that I come from a village, but I also come from a minimal financial background. I cannot afford a study wherever I want to or whatever I want to. I need someone to finance. Um, it's very, very nice things to say, but since 11th grade, I was always funded by somebody else. And majority of my study was funded by Indian government and UK government and Germany and all these funding sources. What I learned is through internet's a huge space. It's huge space of opportunities that somehow empowers women. Whenever I see a village girl or somebody who is like, oh, I want to do all these things, I do not know what to do. At first, I always say, whatever you want to do, first Google. You will find at least 10-20 relevant links for you that can actually fund you. Whatever you want to do in your life, you can do it for free. That's why always something I take it to the people who are coming up with passion. And of course, I had people around. There were always one or two people who were like, I do not know, like a magician sitting next to me telling, okay, do this and do that and helping the way through. So internet and networking are the two important things in this digital world to do whatever we want to do.
That's fantastic, Dr. Indu. My next question is to Dr. Rakshna. Dr. Rakshna, are you there? Yeah.
I'm very much here.
You're very much here. That's great. So like, from police point of view, like, because you have been, dealing with more number of people than us, like, because you're in like a public interface for us. So like in the general policing, can you just let us know how the technology has impacted and how it is empowering women in these days?
See, whatever, I want to start with this key. Women empowerment plays a crucial role in the overall development of any society. And the information technology brought a wide range of opportunities for women in India and across the globe, of course. The development of mobile technology has brought the world in one's fingertip, and you can say that we can search anything We can Google anything. Now it is on one platform. Now this is the example that we all are sitting in different countries and having a good meet over here. We are having a good discussion. This is what is the woman empowerment, I must say, because most of the women are sitting over there. So this is the latest current example which we are seeing on screen. So with this, I would like to say that using the digital technologies, yes, it is very useful for the police department as well in solving many cases. And we have done many cyber crimes, of course. We are having, this digital technologies has reduced the gender gap, I should say this. So whether you are a male or female, it doesn't matter. Who is browsing, who is scrolling, who is searching, who is working behind the screen, doesn't matter. There's no sense, it has no value. So the thing is this, there are many police officers, lady police officers, who are expert in this, in solving the cyber crimes. They are IT experts, and as it is actually what I rightly said, that it has reduced the gender gap. So whether it is a male or a female, doesn't matter, the result matters. So there are many trained IT officials in our police department who are looking forward to cybersec. So all the cyber crimes and these are 90% if it is it's a digital violence or it's a stalking, digital stalking, they're related to women. I mean, it is a crime against women it comes. So we are having a separate unit for this. We're dealing with the crime against women using the digital technology. They are expert. We are having in Pondicherry, we are having one special app, that is Mitra app, M-I-T-R-A. In Hindi, in Sanskrit, it means friend. So actually this Mitra app is developed by Pondicherry Police. And suppose there is a lady who is in some situation that she needs help. So in such a distress situation, she can press both the buttons over here, it's Android phone, and the call will go to the control room. And from there, we can trace out who is the person, or if suppose the call is disconnected, even then we can connect the lady and we can ask what if she needs help and all. So this Mitra app is very helpful. So using the digital technology, not only we are solving the cases, yes, we are doing the preventive measures as well. So we are always there to look forward, and especially regarding using the digital technologies in the police department, yes, it is really very helpful because there are many cyber crimes. And now many, despite they are male or a female, if they know the IT technology and they are coming forward, as I have told you, that now women are in every field. We can see in the panel itself that they are raising the flag in every field. One is a police officer, one is in aerospace. Many are there. Maybe slowly I'll come to know about them, to whom I don't know. But raising a flag and not only setting an example, that's what I want to say. Ki not only this, it is reducing the gap of rural and urban, wherever you are. The woman who was not knowing about, yes, as rightly you have said, ma'am has also said, ki, and KK has also said, ki, this pandemic situation has also given them the opportunity as well. The ladies who are in the rural area or in the urban area, they have got, as we say, ki necessity is the mother of invention. If they can't go out, it's a lockdown period. So if they didn't know, they have learned about it. Even I will give you an example. My 7-year-old daughter, she knows how to download and how to Google something. If she has some homework and all that. So I am seeing this thing. What was not available to me, my daughter is using it. And the ma'am has rightly said that it was not available to me at that time. And now everything is available on mobile phone. So this is all the digital technology who is making women empowered as well. So I should say that yes, it is very useful, not only for the police department. In overall scenario, this digital technology has made a drastic change in giving the woman, not only for the financial transactions, for getting national and international news or trends, I should say, what is happening all around the world. Second, a small rural place, and she can know about the whole world, what is happening all around. So yes, it has made a world a small village. So yes, it has made the world, digital technology has really empowered the women in this way. Thank you.
That's great, Dr. Rakshana. Yes, we are we call it as the generation millennials or generation X and something of that sort. So, but these days the kids were able to I remember like in my old days, I was not able to differentiate between what do you call the Reliance phone in India and the other phones. I was not able to differentiate. Whatever I was able
CDMA.
to hear a voice. I said like, oh, this is a very fantastic phone. I can hear my friends throughout the world. But nowadays, you just go for there was one visitor to my home recently who was 11 months old. So once I was giving my my Samsung phone, he was just throwing it away, saying like, I don't want this phone. So I was forced to get borrow an iPhone from one of my friend to give to pacify him, so that is the situation these days. Yeah. Yes.
They're cyber kids. They're cyber kids.
Yeah, Dr. Raksha.
We are in this era.
Next, my question is to Dr. Indumati, ma'am. Ma'am, can you just give a brief introduction about how the technology, the digital technological initiatives are being, empowering the women? Dr. Indumati, ma'am. Indumati, ma'am. Dr. J. Indumati, ma'am, please.
Muted. The voice is muted, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, let me just put it like this, straightforward. Right now, we are living in an information era where we are completely flooded with data everywhere. And this particular data is being collected from across each and every nook and corner of the world. And what happens is you have a lot of things around you. And once Aristotle was saying, you will have a lot of things around you which will have soul embedded in it. Maybe at that juncture, it would have been a fun or it would have been a myth. But right now, you can see you have the Internet of Things where each and everything or every device talks to each other. And right now, you can very well understand what our future Internet is about. Because looking or staying in this particular field of R&D, when I was doing my graduation, undergraduation and post-graduation, a computer was something which was a very rare device which you will have to go peep, visit, and then come back. But right now, everything has shrunk. As Madam was pointing out, Dr. Rachana ma'am, she was talking about the mobile device. Things have gone beyond. Just embed a small chip into your biochemical chip into your body, and you just walk off. Everything is red. As you travel around, the things are all connected to each other. They talk to each other. They tell you what you are, who you are, what you are looking for. It tries to have Internet of behavior. It has the Internet of enterprises. It has the Internet of everything, to put it like that. So in such a case, unless you are keeping in touch with the latest technology, even the mobiles have been about a decade back. We have still advanced further. These mobiles will be shrunk. When the term disruptive technology was coined by Clayton, so he was just talking about it will disrupt everything. Unlike the incumbent technologies which had a different scenario, this disruptive technology is going to disrupt the entire life of all the people of all the cadres, irrespective of whether you are at the top of the society or even if you are a housewife or even it doesn't matter with age, it doesn't matter with the geographic location, it doesn't matter with anything. Even from a newborn till a very old person, everyone will have access to it. Now, this Internet of Things, as I was talking about, why I started with the IoT is, that is the future Internet. So Google searching, everything. I just think about, I need to look for a term. I think immediately I get the things popped up. So that is how the data is collected from us, and data is being analyzed, what your wishes are, what your likes and dislikes are. Everything is popped up to you. You are spoon-fed. And at this juncture, definitely women have to learn. They have to unlearn the traditional behaviors. So in disruptive technology, we think about what to say, an absolute enemy and a real enemy. Now the real enemy will be in a position to try to scare you and threaten your very existence. But it is not the same with the absolute enemy. So now you know technology is going to be your enemy. You should know how to tame it. Because a lot of cyber crimes are occurring and a lot of things are scaring people rather than trying to pull them around. It is just like a cobra effect, what has done. So what we have to do is we'll have to make people unlearn all the existing traditional beliefs and then make them learn everything new. And definitely I have found, working for the past 3 decades, I have always found girls or even the women, they are much faster and they are very quicker in grasping the technology and they are very creative. They come up with such beautiful ideas, which not even a single, maybe a few people would have been there. But these girls and they come up with such beautiful creative ideas. It is just only a simple thought. It just triggers them. And coupled with the technology, definitely it is going to take us somewhere else than what we can imagine. So that is what we have, data analytics. We are able to predict our future. We are able to do everything like connected supply chain. Even just look at the COVID situation. All the frontline workers were women, most of them, majority of them. And you can very well think about their passion for the job, how dedicated they are towards it, how attached, how caring, how they are so easily taken away and they show affection than the machines. So the things, though you have the robo, though you have a flying IoT, or though you have a flying unmanned aerial vehicle which just goes and disinfectants a particular person or gives away anything, whatever the thing is, when it is coupled with the women folk, definitely it will work wonder. They go hand in hand. So that is one point. And when you talk about the situation currently in the country, I mean, not only in the country, the entire world, this technology has helped each and every girl, children, even the mothers, or even the other people who are sitting at their home. They are learning from their home. The technology has enabled, even it has touched the remote villages. They are able to come and talk. So even we could have heard some comments like this, some funny comments. Oh, you are the lady who is teaching to teach my children. How long you are making her sit? So even they are exposed to it. They admire it. Though it's a funny thing what the mother says or the grandmother says, but still they are able to understand. They are able to appreciate it. So irrespective of age, irrespective of geographical location, or irrespective of what they have learned or whatever it is, definitely we have to empower the women with all the latest technology. I just named only a few. Like you have digital twins where you never ever need to go to that particular area. I think Germany is leading in that particular area where they do everything. They have a virtual world, they have a real world. Whatever they want to try in the real world, they do everything in the virtual world and then started implementing then and there. They adopt all latest technologies. So this digital twin is catching up slowly worldwide. So everything, it is really, I don't think I'll be able to complete all the technologies. I have named only one or two. So I just leave it to you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It was mind blowing. Next, my question is to Sriram. Sriram, we are, we both are into the same, in the same boat in this panel right now. So, can you just let me know, like, how the gender, what is the gender of the technology? Because, like, we have been talking about the technology, digital world, and other things. What is exactly the gender of, technology? Can you just please elaborate it?
So I said the exact opposite side of what they were actually talking about. They were talking about the technology and its improvement and all that. So what I basically do is that you must have heard about this term called as hacking. Then that's pretty much what we actually do, but not into hacking into someone's account or hacking someone's car or something like that. We do it for the security of those devices. So I have a cybersecurity company, and this is what pretty much we actually do. The amount of risk that is actually there in cybersecurity, or like it could be with any technology, is too much. Even when there's a kid, like a lot of people used to say, like, don't give the phone to them, don't give the PC to them, don't give this to them, and all that. And also they say one more thing along to that. They say that it's actually risky. The thing is, like, no device, no technology is as actually risky. It will become risky only if there is a human intervention in that. It's not only with the technology. It is something with which everything actually. You can't say like this is not actually risky. It is not risky. This is risky and all that. So basically, how it actually works is that technology is more like cyber security, or even the technology. In India, especially, we had this unlimited internet and all that. So the kind of thing that actually happened is that, like, a lot of people are forced to use internet. So a lot of because of that, there were a lot of risk also that actually happened. But the thing is, like, while we are introducing them about this technology and all, we should also teach them how to use it safely. That is more like how you teach a person to ride a bike or something. Like when you teach a person to ride a bike, you tell them, like, if you do it, you will get hurt and all that. So it is same with the internet also. But the beauty of internet is that, like, I started using PC since I was actually, I mean, since the age of 4. I started very long back in 2001. I was like 4 years old, something like that, I guess. So the beauty of about technology is that, like, it doesn't care about who you are, like, where are you coming from, and all those things, as Dr. Rachna ma'am was actually saying. And also the problem with the internet is that there's actually a problem again. Like, it doesn't also care about the gender. Most of the time, you would not be even knowing, like, whom you are talking to, whether it's a fake ID or a real ID and all that. So you have that problem also. So with the beauty and the especially in the cyber security field, like, I started way long back in 2008 actually. Right now, a lot of people are coming in, like, especially the women, like, the security of, like, Google Chrome is a women, and there's a lot of companies that you can actually take care of. So when I had started, it was majority of, like, men, because, like, we all, it's like when we say hacking, it is only, almost in all the movies also, majority of when we say hacking, cybersecurity, it's only the men who are doing it. Nowadays, it's completely different. There's a lot of women who are doing a wonderful job in this. And the beauty about technology is that, as I told you before, it doesn't care whether you are a kid, whether you are grown up. And the plus point about technology is that you need to update yourself daily, or else you'll just stay where you are. So it's kind of gets updated. So yes, as I told you before, technology is a wonderful thing that actually happened to us. I guess how we are teaching kids how to learn English, how to walk. I mean, in a couple of years, it will be more like how to use a mobile phone also. That actually happened because because of the COVID and all. I guess technology would definitely do a very huge impact in this, which has already been it's doing. But it will also change the way we look at things, right? The way we adopt a culture, or, like, modify that is there, which is already existing one. Like, back in those days, we say, like, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it, you are of this age, you are of this gender and all that. But nowadays, technology doesn't care about it. And that's one best thing that actually happened, I would say. Yes.
That's fantastic, Sriram. Thanks a lot for to identify the gender. I know that in most of the Asian countries, it's like it's illegal to do a gender identification, but still we are now in the point to make an identification of the digital world actually.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question is to Ms. Ili. So we are calling like empowered by, or we should rightly say it like as empowered by, or we are enslaved to the digital technology. What do you think about the fine line in between both of these terms? Can you just give your viewpoints, please?
Yeah, we're talking about the COVID time, right?
The generic time, all the times. Like, what's your viewpoint about it? Because, like, we have been seeing. I think you may be seeing this
That's
the digital technology for a long time, right?
yeah, very long time, very long time. The rapid change in technology and the use in technology on women these days is fantastic, because all the opportunities and the internet and the open platforms, and women naturally are very social more than male, and they adapting faster. And when they get into the circle of using digital technologies, it seems like it's like a flame, like they adapting fast and they're learning fast and the use is really quick, but at the same time, not enough women getting into the field of computer science and technology. But introduction from young age, you know, to those digital tools and digital skills is definitely open mind to young girls, not to be afraid. And because where I grew up, I'm also coming from a very small, almost like a village. And when I got to college, I was the only one in class in computer science. We didn't have computers back then at home. We had the regular phone or pay phones that I don't know if they still exist. Forgive me, but no.
No, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, we did a long way in a very short time. But there's still much more to do. Definitely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I have been, thank you, Lee. Like, I'll come back to you. So, I think in the past, I remember like 2, 3 decades before, while I was learning computer science, like, my faculty, my teachers used to be saying, like, you used to leave your shoes away from the computer halls,
That's the
and out
virus.
of curiosity, I used to ask, like, what is going to happen? Like, because, I was not having the access for the internet, as I'm having it today or the earlier times. I remember still my faculty who has been mentioning, like, if you come with your, with your shoes and with your socks inside, the virus will be spreading inside the computers. I still remember, and I still, admire the gentleman whenever I visit my hometown usually. So, that's a type of, like environment we have been growing up. And, I just wanted to go for the next round of questions. Dr. Indu, can you just, because like, everyone used to say like, this type of, technology or this type of adapting to the new world is quite risky. We have been seeing since, Kalpana Chawla, and, like, you can name, like, like those, it's like astrophysics and other things. We used to say like, oh my God, this is like, men's thing. And, we don't want to touch it out. Usually this is how the, women used to react for these things. Can you just give an elaborated way, like, what made you to choose this path, and how you have been, going with this path right now?
What made me to choose this path could be a long answer, but let me share it in a short way. Um, so it all happened when I was in 8th grade. It's actually after Kalpana Chawla's death. So you remember, if you were in a very small kid, we were never used to, in our whole syllabus, in our whole school syllabus, except for the thing, solar system had 9 planets back then. That's all the astrophysics we ever knew at that time. That's the only space stuff we knew. So when I was our school was encouraging lot. Our school was very good. Okay, we are talking about gender bias. I think this time I should say one thing what our school did. So what our correspondent did, in order to, I do not know why she did, she always make girls versus boys. She developed this competitive spirit. I was studying in a school for 10 years. Every term, every school term, any competition she takes, she always says, okay, let's see who wins this time, girls or boys. So naturally, there was always a competition between girls and boys in our school. So for me, gender gap, I'm learning a lot about gender gap now than while I was growing up. Even, okay, this thing I should say, I always see this gender gap when there is a brother and a sister. When there are two women, only girl child in a home, I think at least what I see is like my home, there is no gender gap, because for my parents both are equal. But I see some of my friends who have a boy and a girl, a brother and a sister, they always faced differences. So for me, there is no boy and a girl, and it's only competition when it comes to boy. So it all started from when I was in 8th grade. There was this national astronomy quiz competition, and me and my friend was nominated to represent that quiz, and that's the whole world was open for me in in I mean, for my passion into astronomy. So every I wanted to, okay, because I said Kalpana Chawla. Until Kalpana Chawla happened, I wanted to become an IAS officer. And then my chemistry sir came to that morning, and then he explained about space and rocket and something exploding. And now who wants to become an astronaut? And none of the boys put their hands up. Nobody put their hands up. They were like, hey, I want to become an astronaut. It all started from there. And yes, and that's why for me, digital technology, or digital technology is a huge term and you all know it. So what is digital technology? For me, it's internet and learning coding. Long ago, if you want to learn, I mean, every discipline, no matter what, no matter it's programming. We need to know a programming languages. We need to go coding, irrespective of what profession we take these days, from medicines to astronauts to it's everywhere. For me, when computer world opened up, for me to open up only I was in college, and I used internet most of them just to learn programming languages. While I was growing up, you can learn any programming language on internet. I still remember there's this one website called W3 Schools. I still do not know if that website exists till now, but it was a god for me at that time. They used to have an entire different programming languages, and you can learn whatever you want for free. Like I told you, for me, money was a very big constraint. I cannot ask my parents to learn something. Long ago, I think when I say long ago, it's before 90s maybe, when a boy child or girl child or any child if they want to learn something, it was always money demanded. I mean, you need to have money to learn something. Now everything what we're getting is for free. When I say free, you pay very little amount to your phone and mobile phone or Wi-Fi, or these days we even now steal somebody else's Wi-Fi. You go to a coffee shop, you have free internet, right? You learn huge things for free, and that's amazing. For me, my whole life, I was okay. For me, computer was a very good thing, like Rachna ma'am said and Gindumani ma'am said, because when I was growing up, like Gokul said, in our school, they don't even allow us. For example, if today's computer session is about paint, if I'm opening some other icon, my teacher, why are you opening that icon? You should only open paint. Okay. And why are you opening this option? You should only click round option. You shouldn't click line option. It is so when computer world opened to me, when I got my first laptop, that's it. The whole new era of learning and information just opened to me for free, and that was a huge thing. So for me, programming was my strong suit, and we study about different planets. How are we studying? We are saying we discovered water on Moon and water on Mars, and Mars perseverance is now roaming on Mars planet. But how do we know more about Mars? It's data. All this technology, or the machinery technology, is collecting all this data and sending them through vacuum to Earth as a information. I mean, as a data. Once we have the data about a planet surface or a black hole or whatever, all we have is data, and you need to convert those data to information, and that's digital technology for me. So I mean,
that's great.
Though I was learning about Moon and Mars and now Mercury. Everything I learn is in my small computer with few GB RAM and few TB space. That's the only space what we want to know about the entire universe these days. So it's the world of data, not only our personal or other different types of data, but data controls us, or not. It doesn't control us. Data surrounds us, but it's our duty, it's our reason to see what data we want and how we can make that into whatever we want to do in our life. In my case, it is planetary science.
That's great. That's fantastic. You know, that is an ultimate reason why my faculties did not allow me inside, the computer laboratory. Usually, what I do is, like, I used to check whether the delete key is working or not. If the delete key is not working, while deleting the C drive, so what I do is, like, I go to the internet and find out in the, how to delete the or how to format the C drive using the, the command prompt, and I'll be just doing a trial over there. So what happened is, like, my faculties, they got angry and they said, like, no, you don't come inside the laboratory. Whatever you want, I'll make you pass. That's it. This is what you want, right? We'll do it. So, okay. That's a funny part. Like, it happened a few years ago. It was nice, Dr. Indu. Next, my question is, to Dr. Rakshna. Dr. Rakshna, can you just, say, like, what are the difficulties you are facing with this, empowerment of technology? Because, like, I've been reading into the news and other various articles, mostly the what do you call it, the scamsters, they used to try, putting a trap for women most of the times, because like, say like, for example, like, say like some commodities which is being sold in the market for like, $1,000, they'll be giving it for $5 or $10 or something of that sort, which is very cheap enough. And, they'll be putting, or they'll be, pulling them into the trap. So this type of things are happening across the world, into my view and vision point. So how do you tackle, and, what is your view on this, Dr. Rakshana?
You want to say what are the difficulties we are facing in the police department while we are dealing with the crime against women, especially with the cybercrime? Am I correct?
Yes, kind of.
Fine. The things that yes, as Mr. Sriram has already briefed a bit about, that we are not much aware about the security features, number one. Second thing, sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, 90% of these cyber crimes, if it is not a financial fraud, they are related with women. It is a stalking or cyber violence, I should say. Nowadays, this term is picking up, cyber violence. So this type of attacks on anyone's integrity or some sort of traps, as you have already said, these such type of cases are regularly coming into the police department all over the world, not especially here, all over the world. Yes. And the thing is yes, we need to spread more awareness about the security features, which Mr. Sriram has rightly said. Even when I came into the service, then only I came to know that I can put double lock for opening my accounts. And I have learned from my professional is a constable, very lower rank. That's what I wanted to say. It has reduced the gender gap as well as the seniority juniority gap, because this has reduced the gender gap, as well as whosoever knows e-technology are nowadays, they are e-educated, are actually the educated. So that guy has taught me how to be, first of all, he taught me to how to be safe while opening a Facebook account or a mail account, how to put a double security lock. So I'm thankful to my men for this, despite his being very junior, but he is very quite efficient in this technology. And I think I have to learn more about it. So first thing is security, which we are not much aware about it. Second is this social taboo, which don't allow a woman to come forward and speak out. Even now, even despite we are in 21st century, I'm not talking about only in India, throughout the world, whatever the matter it is, we are hesitating in sharing our problems. There are many cases which I have dealt personally, in which in the cyber cell we have seen that the women are giving a complaint that their boyfriend are misusing their personal photographs and their personal information as well. And they're not coming forward in hesitation when it comes up to extreme, when they were being harassed, molested, when the patient level crosses, and when it comes to an end, then finally they come, and then only they speak. This is one thing that they have to break this silence, this social taboo, that what the society will say. So here they are not coming forward to express that what is in the beginning stage. If they will come forward in the initial stages, it will be helpful for us, because if any sort of crime against women, if a woman knows how to say no, N-O, that from there itself, she can prevent the person to go up to the second level. So suppose if a lady, somebody is harassing her, or she is a victim of any sort of crime, digital crime as well. If you are stopping them then and there, if he's blackmailing, even whatever the matter, if they're coming forward, speaking out, definitely the police is there to help you. And we are not revealing anybody's identity. So this is what everyone has to understand, this thing, that one should understand the limit when a woman should say no, that one should understand. Secondly, this social, taboo and this limitations, and that you are a woman, you should not come forward, you should not say this thing. And for the developing countries, you know the situation, everyone knows the situation as well, that here we are in a very protective environment. So people say, no, you don't say what the people will say about this thing, that the girl is saying like this and this. So this is basically some problems we are facing in the police department while dealing with either with the cybercrime or any other crime. When they come up to an extent, then only they come and then they express. And definitely there is a lack of awareness about the security features, which needs to be spread. And I think I'm going to call Mr. Sriram officially, and for taking his help officially. Well, give an official call for you for sure, is to make our department more efficient for this, so that we can deal crime against women, cyber crimes, and any sort of crime, digital crimes, of course, and to make women more empowered and to build a confidence that yes, science is, this is the tool, this is a double-edged sword. You can use it, you can misuse it. So one should know how to use it. That we have to ensure and we have to build confidence in the woman that it is useful, more useful if they know how to use it and with security features. So we are facing many sort of problems in dealing such cases. These are few which I have mentioned, and further, let's see. We are hoping to take the help of Mr. Sriram and other experts to make our cyber cell more efficient. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dr. Rakshana. I think Sriram can help, in developing, the policing technologies also, because, we need, technology enthusiasts across the world, not only in India, but also across the world. We need, technology enthusiasts like you, because, once when the technology is being developed, we always have, a new alternate way to overcome it, or, to have a loophole in it, to find the loophole and utilize it. So people like Sriram, I think they'll be able to help us out. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Rakshana. Next my question is to Dr. J. Indumadi ma'am. Indumadi ma'am, you have seen many number of batches of students who have been passing out from your, from your supervision and from your mentorship. Can you just let us know how the woman empowerment is presently happening in India and especially in Asia? Because we can see Asian women and Indian women are excelling across the world in various fields and various, platforms when compared to that of the other people. So can you just give a detailed insight about how the woman empowerment is happening in India? The floor is yours, ma'am.
Yes. Before I just answer your question, I would like to mention two things which the earlier speakers were talking about. One is the first speaker, what she was trying to say is that we are flooded with data. Yes, of course. Now you should know how to take this data and make an informed decision making. Because for ages together or from time immemorial, only the men folks used to make all the decision making. And we were not empowered to take a decision. Now what happens is everything is automated with the technology. So you have all the data. From the data, you look for patterns, and then you get an information. And from the information, you get the knowledge. And from the knowledge, you are getting the wisdom. Everything at the press of a button, or just by running an algorithm or a code, a piece of code, you get it. Everything is analyzed, or it is subjected to analytics. So analysis, we talk about the past data, and analytics, we talk about the future data. Whatever it is, when everything is given at your fingertips, you are able to make a decision making more and better than a men folk. So that you have to tap it. And by the way, when Dr. Rachna madam was talking about, she was talking about the security, and Mr. Sriram was also talking about it. Now, all of us just look at security. Yes, of course, that is one side of the coin. There is another side of the coin which all of us have not ever seen it. Just like you see one side of the moon and we do not know what is there on the other side. Like that, you have another side of the coin. Privacy. You are losing privacy. You don't have a privacy at all. Because of this, I think we'll better look at the history. You can see because of this privacy, all a particular race of people were subjected to terror, and they were tortured, they were massacred. And that is why, when you look at the US and the European, now as far as the privacy is concerned, or as far as the security is concerned, they have more stringent measures in the Europe than the US. The reason is because of what had happened. Loss of privacy. Because no privacy was maintained. Everything was exposed. Now even we do the same thing. Like ma'am was telling, how safely you put your data into the Facebook or whatever it is. We do not know what we are doing. We might think it is just only one click of a button. But we do not know how much of our information is lost. And we are so vulnerable. We are completely threatened. We are the inviters of our own trouble. When you leave your door open, your main door of your house opened, you are subjected to all the possibilities. Like you are not, so that also has to be taught to the people. And as far as when I talk about the girl children, or when we talk about, I'm a privacy activist, by the way, and I'm also an information security system auditor. So what we normally do is, when I take a research scholar or whatever, the first thing I educate them is how to use the technology safely and how to use it effectively. And because as I've told you, the disruptive technology, the term, something which is very simple, very easy, very convenient, and very small. That will lure you into a bigger trap. It's just like opening a Pandora's box. We do not know what is upright in front of us. So definitely we first educate them only with this, and then only we try to tell them the other things. Then as far as the indexing is concerned, we have a gender-related development index for measuring how the gender gap is filled or it is minimized. And not only that, we are also able to find out how we are gender empowerment measure. So these are the two measures with which we are able to say whether the gender gap is closed or not. Actually, if you look at the statistics, India is ranking 112th position in the overall gender gap index, global index, and the country has almost closed 2/3 of its overall gender gap. And it has attained a score of only 66.8%, which is very, very low compared to the other countries. So we are in a far, far way, and we have to move up the gap. But one positive thing is, you can very well see, like, women, they account for 14% of leadership roles, and we are about 136th rank in the entire world. We stand there. So that also we have moved a little bit, but that doesn't say you are still in the hundreds. You have to move to a single digit number. So we have a longer way to go. And likewise, the gender gaps in education, like starting from the primary, the tertiary education, and the higher one, only 2/3 of men and 2/3 of women are able to move. And that also starts dwindling as the higher education goes up. And if you look at the past 50 years, almost in the political arena, 20 years have been handled by various women leaders who have definitely taken the technology, and they have very well taken us forward. So as far as India is concerned, and even during the COVID crisis, you would have seen among the nations, the people who were very proactively handling, the countries which were very safe and proactively handling, all the women had leaders. The women leaders were able to use the technology and keep everything at bay. And they were in fact protecting more than the male counterparts of the other country. So that is what we are able to show, such a very beautiful thing. But definitely you should never ever forget the other side of the coin. Security and privacy is always there, and you should know how to use it safely. That is my word of caution to all of you. So use the technology. It is like a double-ended sword. You can use it for, or it is like a flame. It's like what you can burn a house, or you can very well light up the house. So use the technology for the right way and educate the girls. Normally, you can see women drivers are more cautious than the men drivers. The same thing, when they are using this technology also, they are more cautious than the men folks. So it goes hand in hand easily with them. And that is why even when I started, I was more attracted towards this, and I became an activist. And the auditing also, we are doing only for that, trying to find out how risk is there, how to block it, everything. So that is one thing. Okay, thank you.
That's fantastic, ma'am. Nice, nice, nice. It was, it was. This is how. This is what we are expecting from the people, and like this way of empowering the women will be upgrading them in the society. Like as we were all discussing since the start of the session, like we wanted to break the gender, the responsibility. It is not only for the men. Like we have been just like moving forward for the women also. It was mind blowing, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Next, my question to Sriram. Sriram, like, we have been talking, with about the women's involvement into the, into the digital world. So how do you see the woman entering into the, into this digital world and the technological suits, and, how do you feel, and, what do you predict in the future about it, please?
So the way I started, like it was completely different. I started learning hacking and stuff like that way long back in 2008. When I was having this Aircel, I guess it's 2G internet. I guess it's 14 rupees something. I guess that's when I actually learned. Even the Google will take 4-5 minutes for me to even to see the logo of Google. It will take 4-5 minutes for me to do it actually. The one thing which I have actually noticed is that, like, I've been doing cybersecurity awareness for a very long time. I've been going to a lot of colleges. I've been to around like some 350 colleges across the country. I would have spoken to more than 1.5 lakh students across the globe, and I'm part of almost all the cybersecurity thing. The one thing which I noticed from then and now is that, like, back in those days, it was completely, most of the hackers, when we say the term hackers, it's always the male, right? But nowadays, there are multiple initiatives that are actually, which actually supports women to get into information security. So when we talk about information security, there's a lot of people who gets confused: information security, ethical hacking, cyber security, and all that. So when it comes to information security, information could be in any way, and cyber security is only going to talk about the digital part of that. So when we say information security, people think it's about hacking into someone's computer or something like that. It's more like, it's more like we need to look at it this way. Like, just because, somebody is having gun, right? There's a difference between military and terrorists. There's a huge difference. Someone who basically protects it and someone who actually, violates it. There's a huge difference between this both actually. So the one thing which I noticed from then and, now is that, like, there's a lot of women who are coming into cybersecurity and they're more interested actually. And also the good thing about them getting into this field is that they're more creative. It could be anything. It could be anything. When women involves into something, it becomes very creative, right? And when it comes to cybersecurity requires a lot of creativity, because you need to understand technology, how it actually works. And a lot of people say, like, technology is something which is, out of our scope and all that. It's not actually. Back in those days, Tiruvallur used to write something called as, he used to write with a scroll, right? That's what we call as dot matrix printer. We say something called as an index and stuff, and that's what you call as a wireless charger. And you split both of it. You say the transformer, primary coil, secondary coil. You just separate it. That's what you call as a, like a wireless charger, right? You keep it from a long distance. The microwave, waves. I'm sure, like, Dr. Indu ma'am must be knowing about it. We use something called as magnetron, and that's what we use to communicate with the satellites. So technology is something which we grew up along. It's not something like all of a sudden it just jumped in your life or something like that. It is something which we've been having since a very long time, right? It is just like what the thing that has actually improved is that the way we started communicating with the things. We used to talk, like, for example, we had something called as Morse code when we were in war and all. So basically you need to do it, tuck, 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 and they'll understand. So Morse code is what you call as an encryption nowadays. It's not something like new or something. It is something which we've been having very long time. We had, LED. We had light. When the light is on, you say 1. When the light is off, you say 0. And that is what Li-Fi. Li-Fi is like faster than Wi-Fi. So technology is not like something. The reason why I always say it's genderless is the fact that even my 3-year-old nephew knows that when the light is on or when the light is off actually. So it's like, especially in cybersecurity, the one thing which I noticed is that for the past 4-5 years, the one thing which I actually noticed is a lot of women are getting into it. And they are coming up with like tutorials, they're posting videos, teaching others how to learn cybersecurity, how to get into this field. And also the many huge organization board directors are actually women. And also that's actually a good thing, I guess, because, like when there is huge group of men and then they take decision, they may not be knowing, they may not be able to take a right decision from their perspective also. I guess that is one good thing which is happening. And also the privacy, coming to the privacy point, the kind of problem that, I have noticed, because since I'm into this field for the past 12 years, actually, I started very long back. The one thing which I noticed that when you give too much of privacy, right, people think it's a place to, like commit crimes. The reason why I'm saying is that we had something called as WhatsApp, and they said like we have this privacy, that privacy, and people are thinking like, WhatsApp is violating our privacy and stuff like that. Now they said like Telegram doesn't, violate your privacy, then all the anti-piracy stuff, pirated contents are actually coming in Telegram. All the crimes are happening in Telegram. The thing is like, too much of privacy and, taking out the complete privacy, we need to draw a line, because when you give too much privacy, right, you don't know who is making the crime. For example, you take Signal as an example. You only give you can come up with a username. You don't even need a phone number, I guess. So when you don't have any one of these things which I could use to identify this is you, then it's a very huge problem if you look at it from the law enforcement agencies, right? Someone would have done a crime, but how will you go and find him? So we need to draw a line about like what exactly privacy is. People shouldn't think that just because there's too much privacy, there's a place to do crime. People shouldn't think like that. And also like we shouldn't also create a fear out of them. When we say cyber security, especially the movies that are coming in, I guess there's one movie that was that got released a couple of years back in South India, especially because I'm from Pondicherry and I know all these people, right? So what happened was that when the movie got released, everybody was worried to keep their phone. They were just keeping it in their pocket, and they were not, planning to use it. And they were just, seeking the tape and all. We don't have to be, even though there is privacy or not, we should be aware of the content that we are actually posting online. People shouldn't think that I'm just uploading a photo. A lot of people upload their flight tickets also. So I think it's like, just because there's too much privacy, people shouldn't think that there's a place to do a crime. Just because there is no privacy and all, people shouldn't think we shouldn't post anything. We need to know what is our secret things that we shouldn't do and all that. But yes, if you look at the technology, there's a lot of initiatives that has come in cybersecurity, and also look at it from a technological perspective. There's a lot of initiatives which are empowering women, and at the end of the day, all the humans should be empowered. It's not about the gender, right? All the humans, it's what we need to be very sure of is that, like, at what age, what are we actually teaching them? That is what actually matters. Apart from that, every humans in this country should be empowered, and in this globe should be empowered, and no one should make a crime out of their lack of awareness, is what I actually think. It could be cybercrime or a normal crime, whatever it is. People should know what is right and what is not, and every humans in this country on the globe should be empowered, is what I actually think.
Great, Sriram. Thank you. It was a very detailed, explanation. Thank you. My question to Ili, because we are nearing the end time almost. So, Ili, can you just give me your insight about like what age should this type of digital technology should be empowered for, should be incorporated, or should be taught to the women in STEM technologies, or let it be the digital technologies to the women, as per your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, I think it should start in a very young age, like in elementary school even, with which I see they're doing it here. I don't know how is it in Europe or India, but there's a lot of engagement from the government and support and communities, and there's independent women communities that support in schools and a lot of outreach programs. And the most powerful engagement and encouragement for young girls, to get more involved in the tech world is actually the interaction with students, young female students, that come into the schools, especially in poor communities with less resources, and open a door to that girls, that basically don't have the right introduction. So there's I think there's a concern about the fact that so many girls, young girls, very successful in school, more than male students. And then when they get to higher education, they pursuing different careers, not necessarily in technology. So basically a lot of education in a level of social, and so basically I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are almost at the end of the session. So before concluding, we have we have a question from the user. So like I'm throwing it to the floor. So the appropriate person who can answer this question, can answer this question. So women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM field. However, it is known that this field is dominated by men usually. And what kind of affirmative action or policy should be taken by the government to address this? So this question has been asked by the gentlewoman called Christina Putra.
Okay, let me just start answering this question because I'm a STEM field, but I'm not a government related to any government, so I cannot talk about policies and action. But one thing,
but
what
still,
I
you have had
know,
lots of experience in getting lots of funding from the government, right?
exactly. So I'm going to talk in that standpoint, which I know what we have, at least by Indian government. So what I know is that there are lots of initiatives that were already taken by Indian government, which what I see is they are not known to many women at all. So not many women are, for example, there is this called government has this very nice program which now completely escaped from my head the name, but it's actually for the women who were in the STEM field, but then they got pregnant and they couldn't go on their career and they came out. So this is something called young scientist fellowship or something. So government has lots of fundings, especially for the women who could not go on their career due to some temporary disturbance. So that's why I say this. Google it. Google. I know there are lots of very good search engines. I say Google, but use any search engines you would like to do. So if you, there are lots of funding sources. When I was growing up, though I had few help from few, for example, when I wanted to go do my master's in UK, I knew about Commonwealth scholarship, but then I was searching for funding in UK and Commonwealth. One of the fifth, sixth search came about Chevening scholarship. Trust me, nobody told me about Chevening scholarship until I saw that in Google. So even if you want to do any small internship, if you want to do anything, even if you are a woman or anybody, if you think, okay, I love fashion, but then my family forced me to do engineering, but now I'm at home, I'm doing home science. I mean, what should I do? There are lots of opportunities, funding opportunities for women to do a paid internship, India or abroad. You just have to use the Google in the right way or use any search engine in the right way. I know for STEM, there are amazing, there's this internship called Indian Academy of Sciences. It's a summer research fellowship for any engineering student. Always in India, you are always told that if you have a high marks, then you can get anything. One thing I really love about IASC fellowship is that IASC fellowship doesn't really give lots of weightage on your CGPA. It also says even if you have a lower CGPA, if you have done very good projects, very useful projects, especially to government, they really fund your entire term in any of the prestigious institutes in India. I could do that in Indian Institute of Science. It was funded. I was funded for 2 months. It was IIC Bangalore. I was staying in a centrally funded accommodation. And then the best amazing thing is that your roommates and the people who are surrounded by you. In my roommate, I had a biologist and I had a friend who was doing policies. So you tend to have a networking in a very diverse fields, and so that's what Indian funds about. Many I know lots of students really complain, oh, in India we do not have this, you do not have that. I do not know if I'm speaking very pro India, but I know there are already lots of existing opportunities which is not known. Maybe government, what they can do, instead of just making policies, they should also do marketing of these policies where such you should reach every village to every corner. Most of the city students, maybe because I knew lots of information because I studied in Chennai in a very good institute. It's Gindi College, and I had amazing alumni who helped me through lots of things. There are many colleges and schools which may not have good alumni, but they may be the first alumni to win the world, right? So it's government's, after making policies, government should also invest lots of money in doing outreach program, going to schools and going to colleges and tell them, hey, we do have all these policies, know them, apply to them. I know in Europe and in US, government does that. They do, even if there is a mission flying, government do not only do the outreach near to the launch, but they do lots of outreach since 1 year, so that children get to know, oh, this is happening, oh, I can apply for this small competitions in this space field. So all I know, or something which I can tell to the government, is do lots of invest so much in outreach program. More and more government can invest in outreach program. At least the current actions and policies will be reaching to lots of students, which might be it could be their complete game changer in their life, like me, it was for me. Thank you.
I would like to add on to what Dr. Indu just said, which is right. You know, the only way to do that, or if the government is not providing funds, you can definitely start communities. We have, like we said, we spoke the whole hour. My colleagues over here said basically everything. We have the wide internet open and so many tools and so many resources, you know, yet, maybe not enough, but yet. And starter communities, so there's a lot of nationwide organizations, and that you can join along and create your own chapter in your own town, and then reach out to funds or introduce it to any government, even if it's not professional. I mean, the key is not to be intimidated by like, oh, what if, you know, because that's the first kind of like mental block. It's like, what if I won't get it? What if it's not going to work? Is not to be afraid and to step forward and to start these communities and to start this networking, like Dr. Indu said, and to continue doing that. That's how you get more money and how you get support, not only from the government, by the way, also from high-tech companies, big companies. They're looking to spend money on STEM education.
Yes, we do agree. Yeah, that's fantastic.
1 minute.
Yeah,
1 minute.
yeah.
Adding to the earlier speakers, I would like to say, see, a capacity building plan has to be initiated by the government, and then many governments are doing them. They have to train the trainers. Whenever you are trying to navigate, or whenever you have the immediate person who can attend to you is your teacher.
Exactly.
Just go to your teacher. Your teacher definitely knows much better, and they will be able to help you, and they are very ready to help you. And they will be, so train the trainers on one side, and the capacity building has to be done. And definitely all the community initiatives, whatever has been taken, that can be advocated. And definitely these teachers will help us. Not only in that, we as women worldwide, we have to empower each other, starting with our basic principles, our morals, values, integrity, and we have to show togetherness, passion, excellence, and enthusiasm. And whenever you encounter, or whenever you see a small girl or a elderly women, be approachable. You go and help them in need. Don't expect someone else will come and help them. No, we have to do it. So when every woman start taking her surroundings, the entire world will be a heaven on earth, no doubt. So with that,
great. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Before concluding, we have the sponsors video. I request Anna, are you ready with your sponsors video, or before giving the thanks note? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Indu Varadarajan. Thank you, Dr. Rakshana Singh. Thank you, Dr. J. Indumadi ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Sriram. Thank you, Ili, and thanks to ITU. Thanks to the United Nations. Thanks for the WSIS Forum for making this session happening. It's quite an eye-opening session, and I know that we have been coordinating from East to Asia. So we have the participants almost like from three continents right now. So this is one of the major empowerment which is happening across in the digital world. And thanks for your valuable time and thanks for your participation. Have a great day ahead. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you, Gokul.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gokula. Thank you.
Thank you.